I had plans to clean this up, reorganize it a bit, and then one of our other cabinets fell apart and now it's a mess. It's a mess. So hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is one of the very first coffee mugs that I showed on my channel. This is a dragon coffee mug that I got from Stash. It's not available anymore. I think it was just available that one year and I lucked out and got it just before it went out. And I'm not sure you can see it, but there are dragons cut into it. It has this beautiful lattice work around it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous mug. One of my favorites. I don't use it much because I've got so many mugs to show you and we keep getting some new ones. But like I said before, we're trying to bring out some of the old ones again. And this is beautiful. I love, 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 love this mug. And in it is one of my favorite Stash teas, and that is the organic chocolate orange, caffeine free. It has cocoa shells, orange peel, rose hips, and orange oil. And it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tea. I love it. Like always, I have to double bag it, but that's okay. Part of that's just me. I like a really strong flavored tea. And excuse the hair, it's second day hair and it's kind of being a little weird on top. But anyway, we're going to give this a sip and go ahead and get started. She's still steeping. The chocolate is really strong right now. It's also very hot. The orange will come up a bit more later when we taste it at the end. But it's still a gorgeous tea. It's beautiful. Love that tea. Anyway, so today we are going to take a look at how I did with my indie brands for the months of 2019. For my list, my actual list of 2019 brands, there were 11. And I only actually managed to cross 5 off that list. But that actually doesn't reflect everything because I have another 7 that I actually tried in addition to the 5, or that I picked up. There's a couple of them I actually haven't tried. At least one. And one of them is fairly new. 2 of them are fairly new. Not new, but they're fairly new, and I haven't managed to get to them either. So overall, I would say for 2019, even though I didn't manage to take everything off my list, I think I still did pretty good. And a couple of these on this list will not be making in fact, most of these will not be making a reappearance for 2020. Basically, I would go back to the websites several times, checking for sales, checking to see if what I was interested in was back in stock for one of them at least, checking to see if there was anything more interesting than the things that I thought I might be interested in, looking at the color stories and trying to decide whether or not I really was interested. And so some of these just ended up not hitting the spot this last year, in terms of pricing, in terms of whether or not they had any discounts, or in terms of what they had to offer. Let's just go ahead and get into it. First of all, there was Velvet 59. There were like 2 or 3 palettes that I was really interested in, or I thought I was really interested in. I kept going back to the website, kept looking them over, and in the end, Velvet 59 does not make it onto next year's list. Basically, none of the items they had, even when they went on sale, ended up being that tempting to me. Next, we have Terra Moons, and that one I actually did try, and I have a couple of those that I'm still using. I would like to pick up a few other things of hers. Anyway, so this line is Terra Moons. As you can see, a couple of them have been used fairly well. The lighter ones, this one hasn't been, but it's like, this is more like a cover. So we have Starship Sprinkles, Midnight Siren, Call Me, and Virgo. They are very, very pretty. The shimmers are very, very gorgeous. Like I said, I've used them a little bit. These are some of the ones that I need to get back to you guys in terms of a review. I did enjoy them when I did use them. These two colors are very close together, as you can see, but they are not quite the same. One's more of a bluish gray and the other one's more of a purple. But they are, and the middle one, the Call Me, is more of a topper shade. But overall, I think that they're very pretty for a, you know, not a very in-depth type of review. I would like to try some of her mattes and try to get some of those in here, but we'll have to wait and see if I can actually pick anything up next year. If I do, it'll be later in the year because I've got a number of things I want to get to before we have to worry about whether or not I have to cut back on the channel. I think she's come out with some duochromes and possibly some multi-chromes, which I'm interested in looking at as well. Next on my list was Zoeva. Zoeva I did not manage to get to. They have a palette that I really want. It is still available. I've just not managed to catch it at a good time when I've had money and they've had a sale or anything like that. The palette is still available, like I said. So they have made it onto this year's list. Another one that I've already tried is Sarah K Beauty. That was on my list. The eyeshadow palettes are in my Project Beauty share. One of the palettes wasn't for me color-wise, and the other one, her eyeshadows were okay. They were not fantastic, but they weren't horrible. They're okay. They're in that middle of the road area. They're usable. However, they just didn't work for my eyes. As you know, I have that issue on the inner corner. They would fade off. They would repair, but they would fade off almost immediately. So in general, they just really didn't work for me. And the color story of the Spring Beauty, I think, it was a blue one. I don't know. It needed something else, I think. But I did keep her highlighters. Her highlighters are actually very pretty and usable. I don't bring them out. I don't use them much. I don't think highlighters are all that hard to get to work, however. They have a decent amount of shine. They're very, very pretty. They work very, very well. The colors are really nice. So I did like the highlighter palette. I did choose to keep that. I just felt that the eyeshadows just weren't up to what I needed in general. I also tried one of her lipsticks. I don't think her liquid lips, and it was too drying for my lips and things like that. So yeah, it was an okay brand. It's not one I would repurchase from. It's not one, hopefully she improves, and maybe in a couple of years I would be interested in repurchasing depending on where I'm at. However, just right now, the highlighter palette it's called the Illumination palette, is good enough for me. Another one that I looked at that I had on last year's list was Divina. Divina has ended up just being too expensive. And every time I go over there and I try to pick up a bundle, even on sale, it was just too expensive. So I pulled her off. If I ever get to try them, that'll be great. However, they're not on my want to try list anymore so much. I mean, I want to, but they're not going to be put on a list for me to try in a particular year. They're just too expensive. It's just too hard to in our current position to come up with the funds for them in particular. Another one that I didn't manage to make was Andy Candy. This is the one that ended up discontinuing the palette that I wanted. And I gotta tell you guys, I went over there repeatedly. It was like, okay, I think it was like $26 or $30, somewhere in there. And I kept telling myself, you know what, just get it. And I never would just get it. And in a way, I guess it's a good thing because now the palette is not available. They do have some other cute palettes. Cute. But in general, the packaging, the color stories are okay, but the packaging is something I would give to my granddaughter, to be honest with you. The original palette was like a candy bar and it looked really nice. I thought it was a really cute palette in terms of the packaging imaging. But the others are like cupcakes and things of that nature, and I just not interested in any of that. So they kept saying that they were going to restock it. They would have a message up there saying it's going to come back soon, and then it never came back after the last sellout. So yeah, no, not going to play around with that. Next on my list for 2019 was Cleona Cosmetics. I saw the Achilleos palette, I believe, in 2018. I was interested in then. As I do think I said before, my biggest issue is that there just weren't enough under the brow colors for me, and most of it was fairly dark. However, that said, it is a beautiful palette. The colors are pretty good, and it worked fairly well on my skin. So it's a gorgeous palette. It's good quality. This palette actually, the proceeds, some of the proceeds go to a charity, which I thought was also very neat. There we go. Oh, I chose two colors that are very light, come up light on my skin. As you can see, some of it's a little bit dusty, but that's okay. I got it to work on my eyes, and that's what counts. Think it's a really decent palette. I would try some of their other things probably in the future. Not anytime soon. Again, it has to do with money and my list for next year, but I definitely would look into it, especially if they continue to do things like have part of the proceeds go to a charity. If they continue to do something like that, they would definitely continue to have my interest. I'm just hoping that they have they start coming up with color stories that have a bit more, a few more pops of brightness for people like me who need a little bit of brightness under the brow to try to highlight their eyes a little better. Other than that, good palette. Do recommend it if you're interested in that kind of color story, something kind of on the darker, murkier side. You are probably going to have to support it with some lighter palettes if you use some lighter colors the way I do. But beyond that, I think it's a beautiful palette, and it's a brand that I would recommend. Next is another one that I did not pick up, and it's for brushes. This brand did end up going to, for my 2020, my big problem is trying to justify $65 for a brush set. Their brushes are gorgeous, and you all know I absolutely love brushes. I have quite a few of them kind of hovering around me right now, but having so many brushes, which is crazy because I honestly probably don't need any more. And it already takes me about an hour or so to wash my brushes. I'm only extending that further by wanting more brushes, but their brushes are absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. Really hoping that at some point them having a sale and me having the money kind of match up, and I can go ahead and pick up at least one of their sets. I would like to pick up one of their full sets. That's why I'm saying 65. They do have them broken up into smaller like face, eye type things, but they have a full set. The full set is only a little bit cheaper if you buy them into individual packs, but that's just fine. I mean, even a little bit cheaper is helpful because their brushes are really expensive. I hope they're really good. Although I have tried a Sigma recently, and honestly, I don't see the difference between the Sigma and, say, a really good NYX brush and like the NYX Pro. So honestly, these are probably the same way that they're really good brushes. They're just pricier than they should be, and but I still want to try them. So they'll be on my list for 2020. Another indie brand that I tried for 2019 that was on my list was Luxie. I have tried these a few times. Most of these are good. The only one I'm having trouble with is Deep, and I'm not sure why that is. Well, let's try the right finger here. Other than it might have a slightly different press. I don't know if the shade is still available. It comes up in swatches okay. However, I've had difficulty with it going on I'm running out of room. I had difficulty with it going on my eyes. It does come out a bit patchy and requires building. I put two of those really close together, but as you can see, they've got decent quality. I don't know what it is with that one shade, and that's the only shade I've had issue with. Again, a very, Not an in-depth. I'm working on getting some in-depth reviews for these, but not a very in-depth review would be that they're worth their price. And Looksy just recently brought their prices down for their individual pans. I'm hoping that that doesn't mean that they're getting ready to go out of business, but they keep also putting out new stuff, so they can't be getting ready to go out of business. But getting past all that, they did just recently bring their prices down. The quality is good. As I recall, the few times I've used them, they do stay on the eyes. They are like most shadows where the thing where they disappear does happen, but they repair well, and they tend to stay better once they're repaired. They're a good brand, and I am actually thinking about picking up a few more, possibly a couple of the mattes. For most of these indie brands, I will try shimmers before I try mattes because I'm not really into mattes, and I don't want to have my predisposition to not like mattes to influence how I feel about the brand overall. So I get the stuff that I like, which is the shimmers, the shiny stuff. And if the shiny stuff doesn't work, well, then we've got a problem. But in general, these have been good. Like I said, it's just that one shade. And even when you look at the way it is sitting in the pan, you can kind of see it's almost like it's got a hard pan, but it's not really. It's just pressed a little differently or something. So that one shade was my most difficult shade. The others, they work very well. They're beautiful, and it's another brand I recommend. And like I said, they have brought their prices down. I think now every pan is $2 to $3 or something like that. So they're very affordable for an indie brand as well. Highly recommend them. Next, there's a brand that I have not tried, and that would be Blush Tribe. I'm still interested, but I did not put them on my 2020 list, and I cannot remember why. I think it was just a matter of cost and shipping. I believe Blush Tribe is overseas, so they charge a little bit more for their shipping. So you get a, you know, a $30, $35 palette, but then you have to pay the shipping on top of that, and it gets very, very expensive. But I'm definitely interested in them. They were kind of introduced to me by Lacey of Spooky Lips, and so her interest in them and the fact that she keeps bringing them up and liking them has made me want to try them. If I'm lucky, they might show up on next year's list as one of the ones that aren't on the list, but this ended up getting tried. That would be cool. Finally, for this year, we picked up the Juicy Fruit. This is from Just Peachy Cosmetics. I played around with it a little bit, a couple of times. It's actually surprisingly good. That sounds very strange, but you see pans like this, they feel kind of dry on the finger, some of them anyway. Like most purples, their purple doesn't quite show up the way it looks in the pan, but running out of room. They swatch well. The few times I've used them, they've been beautiful. I'm actually interested in trying something else of theirs at some point, just based on the swatches. Like I've said, I've used them a few times, but just a few times. That is one swipe of a wet wipe. So as you can see, a lot of the ones that I've been talking about are ones that will stay, including, well, the Just Peachy, the Luxies. So that was everything that was actually on my list for 2019 that I got to try. But as I mentioned, I had a whole bunch of them, another 7 or 8 that I've managed to try that were not on my list. Now, I haven't actually tried some of them yet for various reasons, including just haven't gotten to it, didn't have the time. Every time I do a look, I haven't, anyway, yeah, just, I have some of them, I may have dipped into them, but I haven't really gotten a chance to really get into them, so to speak. And then there's a couple of them that, they have other reasons, and we will You will understand when we get there. So one of the ones that I got to try this year was the Sugar Pill. As you all know, or I should say as longtime subscribers know, this was on my 2018 list. I took them off again because of expense. When you get their big custom palettes, it's $10 a pan. Now, they are huge pans, but I cannot see myself using that much of one color ever in my lifetime. It's possible. But anyway, so I picked up the mini palette. This ended up being a bit smaller than what I expected. It's all mattes, which was also a little bit out of my comfort zone. However, I ended up really liking it. And we used it for a 1 month palette because I wanted to try to get a review in. I don't know why that green didn't show up the way it should. We wanted to try to get a review in, but by the time I got the review done, it was pretty much sold out, and I don't think it's coming back, and I'm very sorry for that. However, I did get to try Sugar Pill, and I'm very glad I did. I did like it. Not enough to spend $10 a pan, but if they come up with something in a color story that I'm going to be really interested in, I might repurchase it if the price is right. Actually purchase it. Another brand that I managed to try out that's indie that was not on my 2019 list was Smashbox. They ended up having a huge sale, and they gave a discount to a particular group I was in, so I went in and got that. My results with them were mixed. I was actually supposed to also get a brush set from them. The brush set never arrived, and I contacted them and said, okay, so the brush set supposedly is shipping now, and I don't have one. They had run out, and they had not given me a brush set, and they gave me a partial refund, which makes sense. I paid for 2 items. I should only have a partial refund with 1 item missing. But we put it on a gift card, and this was my mistake. I put it on a gift card, and I have not found anything from them since that I want to actually try. It just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth to not get half of my order. But most people are pretty happy with them. I do like the colors in here. I have dipped into it a couple of times. It is pigmented. I think my only complaint about this palette is that there is only really one shimmer shadow at all. So it's not fully matte, but it's not a really good mixture of mattes and shimmers. However, the colors do come up very nice. They're pretty pigmented. I haven't used the brown yet, but as you can see, it's a brown I could use. And again, we have colors that are just going to stay on the skin, and it's a beautiful, beautiful palette. So I'm glad I got to give them a try. I am going to try to use the gift card at some point. I just don't know when. So far, I'm not seeing anything I want within the price range of the gift card, and I don't want to have to, go too far over. So yeah, like I said, it has kind of a sour taste in my mouth. I might pick up one of their sponges or something just to get the card used. We'll see. Next on the list was a indie brand that I found on Instagram, and that has blown me away. I've pulled out 2 of the palettes that I've really enjoyed from them. I do have a third. The third is not one of my favorites because of the color story. The quality is same as everything else. I've owned a 4th. Again, it was a problematic one for me, and I gave it to somebody who should be able to make it work, and she couldn't make it work. So, and they have one more I want, and then they've just recently come out with another one that I probably not going to pick up because even though it's supposed to be roses, it is still too neutral for me. Anyway, that brand is Hipdot. This is my C Note, and this is my Rio. Rio has the colors that I love. C Note is gorgeous too. I'll show them both to you. But here is Rio. She's beautiful. Has some of the glitters that they put in some of their palettes. As you can see, it's very sturdy packaging. They have this neat little thing where you can open it up so you can use the mirror while you use the palette. The pigmentation has been gorgeous. I've used several colors in here. I do believe this ended up being a palette of the month. Rio did. This is from Rio. The yellow shows up, which is amazing. As you can see, the colors are quite pigmented. The yellow actually shows up on my skin, which is amazing. Yellows are one of those things that are very difficult for me to get to work. They need to be like a gold or a shimmer usually. Let's get some of the colors from the C Note. Let's show you that. So there's the colors from the C Note. A brand, I fell in love with this brand from the moment I tried them. Just amazing colors. Amazing pigmentation. They blend, they build, they're beautiful. These are colors from the C Note. Just beautiful. It's a very good brand. The palettes run between $30 and $36, I think, which makes them worth it to me. I mean, you get 18 shades in here, I believe it is. 15 to 18. Let me look. 15 shades. And so that runs about to $2.50 a pan, somewhere in there. And the packaging is sturdy, and they've got the little stand. The big part is these things, they have lovely pigment, they're blendable, they stick around, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. Honestly, they're beautiful. Highly recommend that brand. Next, another one that I got to try that wasn't originally on my 2019 list was Makeup Geek. Now, Makeup Geek has been around for a while, and that would be this last row here is my Makeup Geek ones. Makeup Geek has been around for a while. I think she kind of went low-key for a bit, and she's working on making a comeback now. But all of the old stuff was still available. They're soft, they're pretty, they're buildable. Again, I got pretty much shimmers. This color is a good under the brow color for me. They're just gorgeous. Another one that I really need to give a much more in-depth. Everything in this box, except I think the Vanessa's Vanities, need a more in-depth review. First impressions are that they're beautiful, and I highly recommend them as well so far. And I really hope she does well on her comeback. I am considering getting some of her mattes just to see how her mattes do. All right, so I've got 3 more. The next 2 were both gifts. One was an anniversary present, I believe, and the other one was a birthday present. So the birthday present was the from Lethal Cosmetics. I already have another set that I want to buy from them. That's how good these are. Another really beautiful. These do a customized palette. This cost me about 50 some odd dollars. With shipping, I think it was 56. And it has to go through customs, so it's going to take time getting to you. But these colors are very much worth that, in my opinion. I'm going to grab more than I usually do. And we're going to go on the front of the arm. I have to do another video after this, and I'm going to be like a marked up mess. Anyway, this is gorgeous, and I've already used these shades several times. Used this palette several times. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. My only complaint, and I really can't complain at them because this is one of their custom palettes. You pick up the box. They have a palette creator that you go in. It shows all the shades, and you put together the palette. And my only complaint is that I really don't have much in terms of light colors. There's a lot of dark going on in here. I have the lavender and I have this one here. But yeah, that's my fault for the way I put together the palette. The other palette they have is just beautiful that I want. And it's one that they've already created. I think it comes around the same price as these. Highly recommend them if you're in for, I would say, a luxury brand that you really want to try. You want something that's really going to be it's gonna stay. It's gonna be a beautiful palette, and it's not anything that's gonna fade out. Their quality is great. They blend out, they build, they're perfect. They're just really, honestly, they're perfect. So highly recommend them. And if you get money to splurge on a beautiful luxury palette and you want to spoil yourself, really consider Lethal Cosmetics. Got some beautiful colors over there. Now, they really do need to get a very deep, almost black navy blue. That's about the only thing they don't have that I wanted. Anyway, the next one was either an anniversary gift or something like that. I believe it was my anniversary gift. This is what, or it was a Christmas present. No, anniversary gift. I did get it this year, and that's Cleona Cosmetics. I got the Ultra Metals collection. The case is from Coastal Scents. This case is like $10. It's a really decent case, and that's what I used it for. These are beautiful. I do not use them very often, but again, we're looking at some really beautiful quality. They are all metallics. They are all metallics. So the Ultra Metals collection, I do not know if they still have it up. I think they have it up, but I'm not positive. They also have a stained glass collection. They have a number of them. But again, this is going to be a pricier brand for you. I do not use these that much. I use these to, oops, you can see it just above there. I use these to supplement other palettes when I feel they need them. I feel they need some more deepness, they need more shine, they need a different color, they need a pop. That's what I use my Ultra Metals for. I don't use the palette by itself. It's just, even for me, it's just a little much to have. It's shinier than your usual shimmer, so it's a little bit over the top for a solo palette. But again, you're looking at high quality, beautiful, just high quality luxury eyeshadows. Another brand I recommend if you're looking for, I would say start with Lethal Cosmetics first. I think these were just a little bit more expensive when you consider the whole palette together, and the fact that when you get these collections, they don't actually come in a case. You have to get your own case. With the Lethal Cosmetics, they at least give you a case to work with. So there's that. So the last one is a brand, I think I got one of their boxes, and I haven't tried them yet. I've had them all year and I haven't tried them, and you'll know why I haven't tried them when I tell you who they are. And anyway, so that would be My Pretty Zombie, and they had, I think the box, I don't remember. Anyway, they're loose pigments, and I don't use that many loose pigments. I do have some. I do use my Vanessa Vanities. I do feel like these are a little harder for me to get to. I don't feel like the quality of them is nearly as good as I would like. They're not of a quality that would seem to encourage me to use them. They're dusty. Let's put it that way. They're dusty. And that's fine, but I'm not sure I'm going to get to these. I had them in my drawer for my shop, my stash, and I couldn't convince myself to use them then. They're now sitting over in another drawer where I pull stuff out every now and then going, oh, I need to try this. Don't know if I'm ever going to use them then. I think they're kind of dusty. There's a lot of people who love them, but I don't think they're for me. For one, like I said, they are loose pigments. I'm not really into loose pigments. And for two, well, I mean, look at this. Look at the difference here. Look at these colors. This is Hipdot. This is them. The difference is astounding. And with my eyes, I'm going to lean for the stuff with more pigmentation. Most people would, but with my issues with my eyes, I need to lean to stuff with more pigmentation because my eyes will just get rid of it otherwise. More than likely, those will not get reviewed. I was going to say anytime soon, but I'm going to go with at all. Mostly because I'm just not interested in loose pigments. It's hard enough to get to my ColourPop singles, and I have those in an actual palette, and I don't get to these very often. Using the loose pigments, which are in a drawer, is even harder because I just don't see them. And even when I've put them out, I just don't gravitate towards them. I much prefer the pressed shadows. There's less mess. I can get decent, beautiful colors. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect anything from me on My Pretty Zombie anytime soon. I wouldn't. So that's it for today, and if you like what you've seen and you're not subscribed, I hope you will subscribe. If you do subscribe, please hit that notification bell. I can talk. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. I currently upload 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we do get bonus videos every month now because my son has his monthly crate that he opens, and when I receive them, I do subscriber mail, I do indie brand openings, and things of that nature as bonus. In the summer, we do gardening as a bonus. If you're interested, it's in the summer. Got a few months to think about that. We won't see much of the indie brands until after Christmas, though, so just to be aware. But if you're interested in any of that stuff, any of those bonus openings, boxes, you know, stuff like that, geek stuff from my son, you'll want to have that bell rung so that you get notified. If you're part of my notification squad, you'll want to check both your bell and your subscription to make sure they're both still active. And if you choose not to subscribe, well, I'm disappointed in you. But I also understand because I ramble around like, yeah, nobody's business, and apparently I can't talk. So I would completely understand. However, we do hope that you will come back again because we love having the company. And when you do come back again, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. Alrighty, so we have sat here a bit. It has cooled off a bit. Probably a bit more than I expected it to cool off. But I've also been filming for a bit longer than I expected. Going to go ahead and give it a sip, and we will get ourselves out of here. Okay, so that was longer than a sip. Swear to God, this reminds me of those chocolate oranges in the grocery store. You know what I'm talking about. They have that deep, dark chocolate, but you get that orange. It's delicious. I have to say, that's one thing about the Stash chocolate teas. If you add the right amount of sugar and milk, you will actually, it will taste like a milk chocolate bar half the time, depending on which chocolate you get. But yeah, really good tea. Really enjoying it. Alrighty, that's it for today. I hope you have a good one. Bye.